Hello. Hey, thank you for coming. You never know what's going to happen nowadays, so welcome. So glad to see you. I forgot to ask for a cup of tea. This is where you get one, right? The Mucky Duck. I'll start with the tractor tune. This is usually I'm a country show, but I'm a folk show tonight because I'm by myself. So you're going to have to do this instead. Just kidding. Don't do that. When the summer nights turn cooler and the autumn wheat is shaking, for just a few days we'll take a break from all of our haymaking. When the prairie grass turns golden and the apple crop is booming, we'll load the truck and go on down to the steam threshers reunion. There's tractors of all sizes, some you have never heard of. Big plates of homemade hot dish you can't even eat a third of. There's folks in old-time costumes in the Pioneer exhibit, a room full of antique gadgets. You can try and guess what is it. There's a brother and a sister run the steam train demonstration. They'll tell you all about it. They're both third generation. There's a coal-powered antique thresher and 3 or 4 steam shovels and a square dance in the evening. Do-si-do away your troubles. In an RV, Bill's tearing up the flat top, Lacey's sawing on John Hardy. It makes you feel like dancing and laughing and like crying. I'm gonna sleep so well tonight without even trying. When the summer nights turn cooler and the autumn wheat is shaking, for just a few days we'll take a break from all of our haymaking. When the prairie grass turns golden and the apple crop is booming, we'll load the truck and go on down to the steam threshers reunion. Thank you. How'd you know I wanted a barrel up here? You must have read my mind. Yes, Guinness. After this, I'm going to get in that and float down the river. Oh, thank you. Y'all are wonderful here. I love these people. Aww. All right. Well, my name's Brennen Leigh. If you don't know me, I used to live in Austin, so I played here a lot when I lived in Austin, Texas. I live in Nashville now, but I just can't stay away, so I'm going to play some songs I made up tonight. I don't want it instant packaged, I want made at home. I don't want advertisements on my telephone. I don't want form letters or robocalls, big box shopping malls, digitally remastered, formatted to fit your TV. I want analog, baby. I don't want a manufactured home on wheels. I want a lazy river where I can cool my heels. I don't want junk mail, tollways, $1 jukebox plays. Congratulations, you've been selected randomly. want a living room, from rooms to go. Your MSG and your GMOs, keep your touch tunes, your Spotify. I wanna hear that needle skipping on my hi-fi. I don't need a photograph, I'd rather have the memory. I want analog, baby. Now I'm not down on it just because it's new, but in gaining a little, we've lost something too. When you climb into bed with your phone in your face, it feels like you're light years away from this place. We work like machines in some sci-fi fantasy. I want analog, baby. I want analog, baby. Thanks a lot. There it is. All right. Slancha. Cheers. Skål, everybody. All right, well, I made a record in 2020 called Prairie Love Letter, and it's a whole album about the part of the country where I grew up, which is the state line right between North Dakota and Minnesota, nowhere near Minneapolis or Sioux Falls. It's close to Canada, couple 3-4 hours to Winnipeg, I don't know. We didn't go very often. But if you've seen the movie Fargo or listened to the Prairie Home Companion radio show, that stuff is pretty spot on about my culture. I moved to Texas when I was 19 to pursue a country music career. And I'm so glad I did, but I also was very homesick from the start, and I was homesick for a long time. Still get homesick. But the album is kind of my love letter to my homeland, which I didn't think was exotic until I left. And then I realized it's exotic, it's unusual. It's supposedly the largest Scandinavian American enclave in the country. I know you have one of those in Houston. You do. You have a Norwegian population, in my understanding, because of the connection with the shipping industry. So maybe some of you out there can talk Norsk with me after the show. No? You really do, by the way. Anyway, I'll do you a few songs off of that record. This one's about going home. I've lost my accent, you might have noticed. It's been a while. And when I go home now, people think I'm from here, not there. So this is about that. I could get here with my eyes closed and one hand on the wheel, but I like to see the rows and rows of corn. It makes me feel like a kid again, to slowly watch my hometown reappear. Well, I know my accent's gone, but I would not put you on. Don't you know I'm from here? Well, I left here full of vinegar back in '99. A guitar in the back seat, big time on my mind. My desire to leave the old me in the dust could not have been more sincere. I looked down my nose at friends. Turns out I might need them again. Don't you know I'm from here? Don't you know I'm from here? They didn't even crack a smile. Don't you know I'm from here? Though I've been gone for a while, maybe this little town looked better in my rear view mirror. Don't you know I'm from here? Don't you know I'm from here? So I went down to the grocery store for gasoline and Coke. There used to be a greasy spoon downstairs where you could smoke. One side was a hardware shop with a little ice cream counter in the rear. But it does not look the same. Nobody knows my name, don't they know I'm from here? Don't you know I'm from here? They didn't even crack a smile. Don't you know I'm from here? Though I've been gone for a while, maybe this little town looked better in my rear view mirror. Don't you know I'm from here? Don't you know I'm from here? Well, I've never been a quitter, but I know when I've been beat, and it soothes my wounded pride to feel this dirt under my feet. So I'm looking for a job nobody's hiring, that's been made perfectly clear. I'll find one eventually, I know, 'cause I've got nowhere else to go. Don't you know I'm from here? Don't you know I'm from here? They didn't even crack a smile. Don't you know I'm from here? Though I've been gone for a while, maybe this little town looked better in my rear view mirror. Don't you know I'm from here? 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 Thanks a lot. All right, well, the aforementioned ethnic group, the Minnesota and North Dakota Norwegians, when I was a kid, like in the 80s and early 90s, the old people were born in like 1905, you know? So they had some phrases and things and like customs that we don't have anymore, because when they died, they took it with them. And I wrote a tune about one of those people. And hopefully you'll see a little of your own people in it. It's called The Prairie Funeral. It was a funeral on the prairie, all his children gathered round, and put him in a horse-drawn wagon and drove him into town. In the dark of February, snow covered up the ground. In a pioneer church made out of sod, we sang, "A mighty fortress is our God." He was born in 1898 when the plains burned red and green. To God-fearing pilgrim parents, the 12th kid of 13, they broke up that ground yard by yard with a mule and an oxen team. Now we're burying him out on the lone prairie where the coyotes howl and the wind blows free. Well, back at the house we pitched that big oak table against the wall, built a fire in the cast iron cook stove, made room for one and all. The children and grandchildren piled our snow boots in the hall. The women worked like an oiled machine, the coffee boiled and the kettle screamed. And then the old folks took to telling tales of back when they were young. And it weren't too long before that 4-string banjo began to strum. Mom played the fiddle and my Uncle Lars played his accordion. The farmers cried in their flannel sleeves when we sang that song from the old country. Well, that was long ago, and as the years go by, I still forget coyotes wail. He's a winter storm. He's the August wind blowing through the corn. Thank you. Hey, I suddenly got a bunch of reverb up here. If I could have less, that would be great. All right, well, my dad grew up in the middle of, actually, if you've never been to North Dakota, it's God's country, I'll say that. The prettiest place I've ever seen, but you have to look very closely. You can't see it for the trees because there aren't a lot of them. But North Dakota, as you may not know, is a really big tourist attraction. It's actually the 50th most visited state in the Union. It's also almost a perfect parallelogram. If you get it confused with Nebraska or South Dakota or one of those other rectangular states, just look for the nearly perfect parallelogram. And it's also the geographical center of North America. Just a few facts about North Dakota. Anyway, my dad grew up in the middle of North Dakota in a place called New Rockford. Beautiful little town. And when he was a kid, they lived on a dairy farm. And they had Black Angus, and they had probably some Holsteins. I don't know what all they had. I'll have to ask him. But I heard him tell this story many times about his first solo tractor ride. And he was 8, and his dad, Willis, let him drive the family John Deere H tractor. And I really was enthralled by this story, and I had to take my dad's words and make them rhyme. So it's really from his point of view, to the best of my ability. And I ran it by him, and he found it acceptable. So this is called the John Deere H. Spreading out before me, and I'm hearing that old engine crank again in all its glory. It's a faded memory that I go back to now and then. I give my right arm to be on that farm with the John Deere H again. The John Deere H was a row crop tractor, ours was a 43, and I was still too young to drive, but I knew she was made for me. It'd be like heaven to start her up until that stubborn ground. But I'd climb up on the metal seat and make up my own tractor sounds. The H was made in a factory down in Waterloo, but my dad had got her secondhand from some folks that we knew. She wasn't sleek and she wasn't fast, took a while to get her going, but she beat a horse and a handheld plow for cutting hay and hoeing. And then to my surprise, he said one night, "Boy, it's time you got to learn it." And he showed me how to check the spark and set that flywheel turning. I was only 8 years old, I had to stand to reach the pedals, but I was so proud you'd have thought that I just won some kind of medal. In the spring she pulled a corn planter in the newly thawed out ground, and at harvest time she'd help make hay before the fields turned brown. She cut alfalfa with a sickle mower, the sweet smell filled the sky, and in dreams at night would still be working the John Deere H and I. Well, that old machine was a farm kid's dream, none like her before or after, but we let her go in hopes of knowing so-called greener pastures. Though I've been around the world, my life's the envy of most men, I give my right hand for that piece of land in the John Deere H again. I give my right arm to be on that farm with the John Deere H again. very much. I think it might have turned into a country music show, folks, because that's the second song about tractors we've done. It's only been about 15 minutes. You like that, though. This is Houston, right? You wear boots and hats to weddings, that kind of thing, right? Yeah. It's Texas. I feel like. All right, well, here's a little love song. That North Dakota cowboy I still dream of now and then, when I think back on my younger years and he was all I knew of men. He'd never put a hand on me, though I know he loved me so. But we'd sing all night till the sun rolled out like a blanket on the snow. His eyes were green as Norway pines, his laughter warm and pure. But he felt a burden in his mind even love could not have cured. And that North Dakota cowboy, handsome, young, adored, rode off into the prairie sky in his rusty yellow Ford. You know, he didn't ride a wrangle, but he had a cowboy's soul. I was not the only one by far whose tender heart he stole. Gallant as a soldier from some ancient book of lore. Every year I'm getting older, and he just stays 24. Breaks up in springtime and the little calves are born, peeking through the thawed out ground are little blades of new green corn. Gram Parsons on the AM dial, smoking with the windows down. I still look for him in Fargo every time I'm back in town. You're so very polite and kind here. Well, I have a new album out as of May, and it is, well, part of the reason I ended up in Texas in the first place was I was obsessed with Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys and a band called Asleep at the Wheel from the time I was a teenager. My brother and I would drive around in our '88 Honda Accord wagon with the retractable headlights, yes. And we would listen to cassette tapes of Asleep at the Wheel and Bob Wills. And magically, in the last year, I got to record an album with Asleep at the Wheel as my backing band. So 15-year-old me is really excited. And thank you. I just love that band. They're my favorite band. And I wrote 12 brand new Western swing songs. So I think what made Bob Wills so special was that, back in the 1940s specifically, for me, my favorite era of Texas Playboys, was that they were innovators. So they weren't recycling some old kind of music that had been around for 80 years. They had their own brand new crazy thing that sounded like it was from outer space. And it's a style that I really like. But I thought, well, if we just keep playing the same songs, we have beautiful songs in Western swing, songs like New San Antonio Rose and Maiden's Prayer and Sugar Moon and Cherokee Maiden, songs like that. But if we keep doing them, the law of nature says they're going to start getting worse just because they were done perfectly the first time. So I thought, I'll write 12 brand new Western swing tunes. And so we recorded 12 brand new Western swing tunes, and I think they came out good. This one I wrote with a writer named Paul Kramer, who played some mandolin and fiddle on the record. And it name checks, if you don't know his name, the pioneering lead singer of Bob Wills and his Texas Playboys' name was Tommy Duncan. And he's one of my favorite singers in the entire world. So we name checked him in this tune. Once I had a rowdy streak, wilder than a Texas gale, a throwing 'em down in old Fort Worth town and waking in the Waco jail. Now I've been sober 15 years, I walk a real straight line, but if Tommy Duncan's voice was booze, I'd stay drunk all the time. If I was a Gulf Coast voodoo queen, I'd make you fall in love with me. If I was a hound, I'd track you on down and put you up a live oak tree. If standing me up cost you 1 cent, then I'd have a Yankee dime. And if Tommy Duncan's voice was booze, I'd stay drunk all the time. If I had an old cast iron stove, I'd whip us up a rhubarb pie with berries and cream. Wouldn't that be a dream? Then I could lay right down and die. And if I had a time machine, I'd set it to 39. And if Tommy Duncan's voice was booze, I'd stay drunk all the time. All the time. All the time. And if Tommy Duncan's voice was booze, I'd stay drunk all the time. Oh, oh, Lord. Oh, thank you. You guys know Tommy Duncan? Tommy Duncan? If you don't, you're going to. You're going to go home. You're going to Google Tommy Duncan. And you know what was cool about Tommy Duncan? Now I'm rambling. Cut me off. But he just stood there and sang. He didn't play guitar. He didn't hold a guitar. He stood there and sang like a boss. That's all. That's all I'm going to say about him. He looked really good in his hat. He and Bob Wills had an interesting relationship. You can read all about it. Very fascinating to me. All right. Well, one of the songs on the record, the brand new record, I wrote with Katie Shore, who was the fiddler for The Wheel for 8 years. And Katie's a wonderful artist, wonderful songwriter, fiddle player, and she sings a duet with me on the album. And we wrote this one together. You ever been ghosted before, folks? You know what I'm talking about? You know what ghosting is? The Irish goodbye. You just leave, you don't say goodbye, or this isn't working out, or anything like that. Well, I figured out that the very best way to ghost somebody is to just become a ghost. Like, actually become a ghost. So Katie and I wrote this tune called Tell 'Em I'm Dead. If you think I'm not myself, you'd be right. I just wanna be alone tonight. I've seen this heartbreak coming for a while, and I've got no desire to reconcile. I'd rather just sit down and drown out these memories in my head. And if it comes around, tell him I'm dead. Well, if you think you found your Mr. Right, you're wrong. He'll love you fast and hot, but not for long. For a while I held on to him tight, but if your eye's on him, I won't put up a fight. 'Cause I'd rather cuddle with a cactus all curled up in my bed. And if he comes around, tell him I'm dead. If you like to take in drifters off the street, I know one you've really got to meet. And if a good lost cause is something that you like, I know one exactly your type. But I'd rather find a mound of fire ants and stay a while instead. And if he comes around, tell him I'm dead. I'd rather live alone in misery and existential dread. And if he comes around, tell him I'm dead. Tell him I'm dead. Oh, thank you. That was a little rock and roll ending there for you. Appreciate y'all. All right, well, the title track of the record is a love song from the very bottom of my heart. It was a poem that I wrote when I was longing for the big open skies. You know, I was sitting in Nashville. I love Nashville, Tennessee, home of country music. Sometimes I'm out there and I get a little antsy I like to be able to see about 360 degrees around me, just miles and miles. So I was sitting in my room in Nashville and I wrote this love song. I'm obsessed with the West, that ruleless old gal, always coming or going, she can't be corralled. Her buzzing cicadas, her chalky white rocks, her high dancing grasses, her black buzzard flocks. I'm obsessed with the West, her tough leaning trees, her hawks on her high lines, her core reaching freeze, her murderous hailstorms, her squalls and cyclones, her blooming pink cactus, her weather bleached bones. Oh, it's her I can't keep from that old love affair. Though she pelts me with sleet and ties knots in my hair, that rugged old broad, that unbroke wild pony, that opus of God. Thank you so much. Well, I'll do a couple more off of the new record. This is one of the singles we put out. And I sing a duet with the great Ray Benson on it, who produced the record, with Sam Seifert. I like Ray so much for so many reasons, but the first time I met Ray, he came over and he put his arm around me and he said, I'm like 5'10", if you can't tell from the back of the room. He said, finally a normal-sized woman. Because Ray's like, I don't know, 6'7" or something. And his heart is as big as that. But we sing a duet on this tune, and there's a video of me and Ray and the whole band at Copeland Dance Hall playing this one. We got dancers and the whole works. It's very Hollywood, but it's very Texas. I've traveled all over this whole wide world playing songs for smiling faces, from Idaho to old Oslo and 1,000 other places. I've rode on trains and aeroplanes, ate steak and calamari. I shook the hands of diplomats and played their fancy parties. Well, I don't mean to gripe or brag, sure the high life has been grand, but I'd trade my wages to be on stage in Texas with a band. We'd rollin' on a Friday night just under the wire for a dance hall gig, pack up the rig and load in the amplifiers. Let's pick a few and check 1, 2, the doors open at 7. Folks come in for two-step in, the closest thing to heaven. If I only had one final wish, I'd make it my demand to play once more to a sawdust floor in Texas with a band. Here it goes. Take a tour through Texas and you can find it all. If you close your eyes in Beaumont, it sounds just like Montreal. And that stretch from Post to Marfa's like that German Autobahn. And Austin's just like Hollywood with a few more country songs. Where else can you hear steel guitar played with accordion than a Gulf Coast bar underneath the stars in Texas with a band like this? Thank you. You know, no one gets that joke about Montreal and Beaumont anywhere else. It's too many layers of subculture or something. I'd hoped you would laugh. Here's another tune off the record I wrote with Paul Kramer. When you first said you loved me, I knew I felt the same. But I was scared because I'd barely healed from an old flame. I made you wait too long, dear, and at last you gave up trying. But maybe someday we'll dream the same dream at the same time. I hate the fear that kept me here and made your poor heart wait. I was wrong to take so long, and now it's far too late. We've gone to seek another. Our stars did not align, but maybe someday we'll dream the same dream at the same So leave a light on in your heart for me. There is a part of me that you will keep forever. So go about your business, live happy and be free. I hope regret's not all you feel when you think of me. Though I can't see the future, it's all in God's design. I hope that someday we'll dream the same dream at the same time. I hope that someday we'll dream the same dream at the same time. Oh, thank you very much. Okay, I'll do one more off of that record, and then we'll do some new stuff. What do you think about that? I don't know. I don't want to hear anything I haven't already heard. Okay. Well, I wrote this with my favorite songwriter, Noel McKay, and Emily Gimble and I sing a duet on the record. I'll be singing Emily's part tonight, but she's wonderful, so you should hear her sing it. If I treated you like you treat me, you'd run away and cry. You'd be wiping your little eyes. You'd be telling me goodbye and walking out the door. But if you treated me like I treat you, I'd be smiling all day long. I'd be singing a happy song. I wouldn't be leaving little teardrops on the floor. Well, didn't you hear that golden rule that they taught you way back in school? And didn't you learn the true meaning? I guess you must have been daydreaming. But if I treated you like you treat me, you'd run away and cry. You'd be wiping your little eyes. If I treated you like you treat me. Well, didn't you hear that golden rule that they taught you way back in school? And didn't you learn the true meaning? I guess you must have been daydreaming. But if I treated you like you treat me, you'd left a long time ago. I'd be nothing but a memory. If I treated you like you treat me. Thank you a lot. Well, I've got a brand new song or two that no one's ever heard. But y'all have been so kind that I'm going to break some new ones out. I categorized the set list by records tonight. I don't know if you noticed. Kind of. And I've got a new one coming out in this spring. And it is being produced by my friend Chris Scruggs. And I'll do one off of that. You guys ever listen to Del Reeves or Red Sovine or Dick Curlis or Kay Adams? What I'm getting at is trucker country. That's what I'm getting at here. It's a subgenre of country music that covers exclusively the topic of long haul, 18-wheel or trucking. And I believe the term for the subgenre was coined by someone we all know and love, Bill Kirchen. And it's called Diesel Billy. Anyway, I wrote this with a friend of mine named Mallory Eagle. And Mallory's from Oklahoma. She's a lovely gal, really talented songwriter. And Mallory had this idea. She lived in Oklahoma City, and she lived across the street from this lady named Carol, with an E, who happened to be a long-haul trucker. Carol was 5'3", and she went on trips. She went to work wearing little kitten heels and her hair done and pearls. She dressed up like a piano teacher or something. Real cute. But she would introduce herself by saying, "Hi, I'm Carol with an E." And so Mallory was just enthralled with this character, and we kind of lionized her, and we decided we were going to write a song about Carol. And Mallory and I are such freaks that last time I was visiting her in Oklahoma City, we went and drove by Carol's house. We didn't knock or anything, but it's kind of some psychotic behavior. But we had a great time, and every word of this song is true. So here you go, Carol with an E. Oh, Carol with an E, she's the finest trucker I have ever seen. Though only 5'3", you might say that she's a highway queen. In her big rig hauling freight all the way from Santa Fe to New Orleans. She's a long hauling, diesel burning, road dogging machine. Carol with an E. Oh, Carol with an E. She used to live right next door to me. She'd roll home in style, and I knew she'd be back in town a while. 'Cause her man stayed at home, brewing bathtub moonshine all alone. He's a chain-smoking, reefer-toking Billy Goat, and he loves Carol with an E. She ain't afraid of any grade. She's doing her thing in the left-hand lane. Well, there ain't no town clown gonna slow her down or rain on her parade. In pearls and kitten heels, she'll slam that hammer down on 18 wheels. A red Sovine blasting, everlasting, how I'd like to be like Carol with an E. Well, she ain't afraid of any grade. She's a-doing her thing in the left-hand lane. Well, there ain't no town clown gonna slow her down or rain on her parade. In pearls and a kitten heels, she'll slam that hammer down on 18 wheels. A red Sovine blasting, everlasting, how I like to be like Carol with an E. A Dick Curlis blasting, everlasting, how I'd like to be like Carol with an E. She's a Del Reeves blasting, everlasting, how I like to be like Carol with an E. Y'all, I want you to know, I haven't dropped my pick in like a year. I never drop my pick, and I just did it twice. It's you. It must be y'all. It's luck, I think. I think it means it's a good sign that I'd keep dropping it. I got the hot pink, because the tortoiseshell just blends into the floor. I think someone was playing a cruel joke when they decided picks should be tortoiseshell. And it wasn't humane anyway, so here we are. So this is a brand new tune. I spent 3 months out in Taos, New Mexico, at an artist residency, completely alone in an adobe house in the desert. I'd never been completely alone like that. And I had nothing but a grand piano, a notebook, living accommodations, of course, and a steel guitar, my guitar, and some notebooks and hiking boots. So I went up the mountain a lot. I went up Carson National Forest. I would hike up every day. And the silence drove me crazy. I probably went a little insane up there, but I also wrote some songs, and all of them, I would say, are inspired by the West. I would call them kind of cowgirl tunes. And this is my favorite one that I wrote up there. We were standing in the driveway. I just had to have it my way. Though to leave him left a burning in my chest. He said, "You don't really love me. Your heart's out on the prairie. You're a wild woman of the West. Like a wild mare, none can break you. My sweet girl, I could shake you. I begged you to choose, you failed the test. You're stubborn and your heart's cruel. I'm leaving, I'm a damn fool to love a wild woman of the West. A home and little family, I've wanted it so badly. But in my feather bed, you never seemed at rest. And when you're old, your creeks and hillsides, will they sit by your bedside? No, you're a wild woman of the West. So I tried to memorize him, turned the key and started driving. Though I wanted to, I could not be possessed. I'll be free, though I'll be lonely. I can't help the way God made me to be a wild woman of the West. Thank you, thank you. Would you like to hear a few more that the desert gave me? Thank you. These are new. These are brand new. So, hey, let's keep them between us and all the people out in streaming land that are listening too. Hey, everybody on the internet. Okay, well, I wrote this with my friend Robbie Fulks. Do you guys know Robbie? Love Robbie Fulks. I'm a super fan. And he produced a record for me. And we wrote this tune together. The only man that I need is in the moon. All I want is the wind to caress me, with all the stars of heaven to possess me. Why settle for some clumsy Romeo? Each twittering nightbird gives my heart a thrill. Each constellation makes me sigh and swoon. So as as long as there's Orion and a lonely hill to lie on. The only man I need is in the moon. The only man that I need is in the moon. I'm turned on when his beams dance and glisten, and I don't have to ask him twice to listen. He hangs there quietly and lets me tell, I don't need your diamonds, they're no Milky Way. Take your love ballad, it's no coyote's tune. In the twilight soft and misty, no mortal air shall kiss me. The only man I need is in the moon. Ooh,
Thank you so much. Well, I'll play you another new one. Like I mentioned, I'm working on this country album. Country music, y'all, it's a hot topic. People get really emotional about this topic, myself included. When you say, yeah, I live in Nashville, I play country music, people assume terrible things about you. Clearly, I moved there and sold out immediately. But actually, living there has made me love country music even more. We have a wonderful history there. We have a street named after Chet Atkins and a street named after Roy Acuff. And we have the Country Music Hall of Fame, and we have all kinds of wonderful historical things. It's the kind of place where you can drive around in the middle of the night and, you know, find Ernest Tubbs' old house and things like that. Maybe look in the windows. I would never do that, but I love Nashville. But yeah, it's divisive. People have emotions about this because often the word country music gets used on things that maybe it shouldn't be. So, but I maintain, since I have the microphone here, I will say we ought to keep using the word for what it actually means. So, I'm a country artist. And I wrote this song with a friend of mine named John Scott Sherrill, who was just inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. I'm very proud of him. He's more than worthy, and I like to get together with him and write country music songs. And this one's for places like the Mucky Duck, who have kept it going. There aren't televisions all over the walls, and they take care of the artists. I've been watching all my friends settling down. They no longer want to go out on the town. Well, I could have that kind of life, I bet. But I ain't through honky-tonkin' yet. Maybe I'll find one of those old familiar places where they pour the coldest beer that you can get. I'll look around and see my new friends' smiling faces. No, I ain't through honky-tonkin' yet. Sometimes I feel I've got nowhere to go, 'cause they don't make 'em like the ones I used to know. They've traded in the jukebox for a TV set, but I
honking yet. Maybe I'll find one of those old familiar places where they pour the coldest beer that you can get. I look around and see my new friends' smiling faces. No, I ain't through honky-tonkin' yet. No, I ain't through honky-tonkin' yet. Thank you.
Okay, good. No one left. Well, I wrote this one with Noel McKay, and it's been recorded several times by several people, including Sarah Borges and Sonny Sweeney. Yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Are you still taking them pills? Are they still giving you thrills? Does your coat still sound like a Morocco when you're walking up and down around the Tennessee hills? The prescription that you're taking to the pharmacist is written on a stack of $20 bills. Are you still taking them pills? Hey, I remember back when we used to take them, and we'd feel them start to kicking in. At first we'd feel them tingle, and then we'd feel them prickle like there's something crawling on your skin. I think they almost made us feel a little happy. I think they nearly made us feel like we belonged. They'd set us working on something for an entire day, then we would talk about it all night long. You still taking them pills? Are they still giving you thrills? Do you still feel like you're getting prodded by 100,000 nasty little porcupine quills? Well, your mind is like a cyclone eating satisfaction, but it empties out as quick as it fills. Are you still taking them pills? Well, hey, ain't it strange the way time can change a person? Just yesterday it seems like we were getting high. Now, I've been clean for years, but to be completely honest, I still think about it all the time. But wait, I think you don't remember how you know me. I've got to say that you don't really seem the same. Hey, you ought to hang it up, 'cause by the look that's on your face, I think you wonder how I even know your name. Are you still taking them pills? Are they still giving you thrills? Outside there's a thin man staring at you. Can't you see him leaning on your windowsill? I'm afraid we might read it in the paper that you're pushing up the daisies and the daffodils. Are you still taking them pills? Are you still taking them pills? All right, thank you. Well, I made a record in 2010. Seems like a while ago now. Here in Texas, with a producer named Tommy Dedamore, who's got the best ear I've ever heard, and he's a steel guitar player, of course. And this song was recorded later by one of my favorite artists in the whole world, maybe the best voice in country music, if you're asking me, and that's Leigh Womack. So she recorded my song, and I'll do you a little my version. I've been sleeping with the devil. I thought you ought to know. I can't look you in the eye and tell you it's not so. I'm his little darling. I'm that old man's dream. I've been sleeping with the devil, so it seems. I've been sleeping with the devil, arms around him tight, breathing my hot breath upon his chest the whole long night. To get up in the morning, God knows I have tried, but I've been sleeping with the devil by my side. Sunday morning singing, a chicken getting fried. I've missed it all by sleeping in, and I feel no light inside. I gave him all my heart's blood, but he's run off with my soul. I've been sleeping with the devil in control. I never let them know it, what it was all about. But I hid behind that barroom wall and I pulled the stopper out. I let it burn down slowly, then I followed on behind. I've been sleeping with the devil in my mind. I've been sleeping with the devil. I thought you ought to know. I can't look you in the face and tell you it's not so. I'm his little darling. I'm that drunkard's dream. I've been sleeping with the devil, so it seems. Well, I've been Thank you a lot. All right. Well, one of my favorite artists is a friend of mine named Melissa Carper. And she's got a record that came out in 2020, actually. I heard this album, and it scared me to death. Like, oh, no, I have to do better next time. It's such a good album. It's called Daddy's Country Gold. And I'll do a couple of songs that she and I wrote together. She's got a new one coming out in the fall, which I'm terrified of. I'm building a shelter underneath my house for when it comes out. It's called Ramblin' Soul, but she and I wrote this a number of years ago, and it's on the Prairie Love Letter album of mine, and it's a teenage love song. And I like to imagine, for no particular reason, that it takes place in the Midwest, or the Great Plains, around 1990, 1995, something like that. It's called Billy and Bo. Dakota farmland, tabletop flats, where Billy and I grew up.
bad. Billy was my friend since we were 10, so I guess I never thought about it much back then, that we both looked up to this farm boy, Bo, tall and strong from shoveling snow and baling hay. His big blue eyes were clear and bright as the prairie sky. The heart wants to go where the heart wants to go, and you can't undo it. Billy never told me so, but I just knew it. Billy loved Bo. Well, Bo won best goat at the 4-H fair, and I went to state for my pie with pears. For raising a pig, Billy won something too, and we all got to go on a trip to the zoo. Bo and Billy, they laughed and laughed the whole way there and the whole way back. Billy put his arm around his butt and said, Bo, I sure had fun. The heart wants to go where the heart wants to go, and you can't undo it. Billy never told me so, but I just knew it. Billy loved Bo. Right out of school, Billy just packed everything in his pickup. Never came back. Had a full scholarship in Chicago. Made a lot of himself since 20 years ago. And we haven't seen hide nor hair of Bo. Last we heard, he's still with the rodeo. He never got married, heard through the grapevine, but he broke a lot of hearts, including Billy's and mine. The heart wants to go where the heart wants to go, and you can't undo it. Billy never told me so, but I just knew it. The heart wants to go where the heart wants to go, and you can't undo it. Billy never told me so, but I just knew it. Billy loved Bo.
Thank you a lot. I wrote this one also with Melissa Carper, and we were talking about quitting the music business, you know, which I rarely even think about. You know, I've done this since I was 14. I've never done anything else, so it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to me to think about quitting. But we were having a little fantasy, and we thought we might become ranch hands. So I'll see if I can remember this one for you. It's brand new. I've counted more $1 bills than any mint could print. Of hustling and busking, I've done more than my stint. I've closed down more old honky-tonks than I thought I could stand. So, mister, do you need a ranch hand? Well, I've never rode a horse, but I've posed in the saddle of a nice old donkey who sat still while I straddled. I've never roped a calf, but I've strung a gut string on a big stand-up bass. It's about the same thing. I don't know how to break a brand, and I fear a coyote's call, but I'll sweep out the stalls. Ooh. Well, I've never done the work, but I've sung about Brandon and the
cowboy's life in the call of the canyon. Like to rise in the morning to the birdie's first call. Sleep beneath the starry sky, no roof and no walls. I ain't long for these bars and staying up all night long. I'd like to be the cowboy in the song. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Thank you. I think I've got time for a couple more. Does that sound about right? I don't know what time it is. This has been such a pleasure. I'm thankful to all of you for showing up tonight. I know it's not always an easy decision these days, and to go out, to leave the house, you know, for more than one reason. But I'm thankful, and also we've got our streaming audience. I appreciate y'all too. You're not here to buy T-shirts. I mean, the streaming audience is literally not here to buy T-shirts. I don't know what I meant by that. I'm just saying thank y'all for tuning in and for contributing, and of course everybody here at the wonderful Mucky Duck. I've been playing here many years, and I'm always glad to be back. I'm going to leave you with one about my dog. I wrote this with Noel McKay, and we found this dog one time coming back from a gig in Conroe. We were in Conroe. We were driving to Austin. It was a gig that I was complaining about. It was one of those long, things you kind of got talked into that you kind of wish you hadn't. It was long. It wasn't this lovely listening room with lovely people that came specifically to see us. It was sort of like a little bit, we were kind of the wallpaper, you know. We were the wallpaper, and I was not looking forward to it. I'd lost my hound dog. I had a beautiful red bone hound that I lost, and I was not ready to get another dog. I was still very, very sad. But on the way home from this aforementioned unpleasant gig experience, I ended up being so glad that we took this terrible gig because we found this dog on the road. He was running down the highway, in the middle of the highway, somewhere in Waller County. And he's like this 80-pound black and tan hound dog, hound dog. I think he's mixed with a husky. I asked my parents for a DNA test for him for my birthday because I still don't know what he is. He's like 7 years old now, but he's black and tan, and he's got these little ears that want to be long, but they're not. And he's got a blue eye and a brown eye. And he's the most beautiful, loving, sweet dog. Somebody dumped him out on the road. We put him in the car, and he's now running our lives. His name's Bjorn. He's Norwegian, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to train him in Norwegian. He's still not trained. He's 8 years old. I'm going to train him in Norwegian so he doesn't listen to anyone but me. I've just decided that. It's probably too late, but anyway, Bjorn got in the car with us, and he turned out he's a wonderful co-writer. He's a highly evolved spiritual being and a champion snuggler. And we wrote him this song. It's called Little Blue-Eyed Dog. Thank you all so very much for being here with me. Scared and cold with stickers in your hair out here on the highway.
You used to be somebody's pup, but no one came to pick you up. Life was lonely, life was rough, but now you're going my way. Hey, little blue-eyed doggy. Hey, little blue-eyed dog. Hey, little blue-eyed dog, I think that you are quite a catch. You should be somewhere playing fetch and running in the clover. I don't know how you got so stuck, but you just ran out of rotten luck. You were headed for some semi-truck about to run you over. Hey, little blue-eyed doggy. Hey, little blue-eyed dog. Had a hound who went away. The hound dog having one sad day. My heart has since been broken, but now it heals with every mile. Something about you makes me smile, and I tell you it has been a while. It's good to have a new friend. Hey, little blue-eyed doggy. Hey, little blue-eyed dog. Saving you. Now I'm wondering who rescued who. Welcome to your new home. Hey, little blue-eyed doggy. Hey, little blue-eyed dog. Hey, little blue-eyed doggy. Hey, little blue-eyed doggy. So much. I appreciate you. All right. Thank you. I think there's going to be an encore for the folks online, so I'll just give myself an encore. What should we do? I haven't decided yet. Oh my gosh, I don't remember that one. Yeah, she wouldn't. Does she do that one? She probably does. I owe you one. You can make requests. I probably won't remember them. A lot has happened in the last year, 5 to 7 years. Well, how about I do a couple of fun things? I don't know. I learned this. I haven't done any covers tonight. I haven't done one. You want to hear a Bob Wills tune?